Hi, my name's Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. Realized I haven't only talked to the cats this morning. My voice is a little allergy scratchy. I have a video today. It's super cute. And I'm going to admit it was a little frustrating to get to the point. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to be using the Curvy Celebrations bundle. That is going to be my next class. Now, normally when I do classes, sometimes 90% of them are just super fun. You get some great ideas. I think my stamping style is a little bit different than a lot of other demonstrators. My cards aren't hard, but sometimes they're a little bit more. They aren't just stamping and punching out and layering. So most of my cards tend to have a little bit of something a little bit more artistic to them. This class, I think you're going to need the class if you get the bundle. It is beautiful. It's a super pretty bundle, but I stamp nearly every day. Well, probably at least 5 days a week, most of the time. And there is definitely a learning curve. I think they should have just called it the learning curve bundle because there is definitely a learning curve to this bundle. So if you love it, I would highly recommend that you take a class from some demonstrator. And Stampin' Up! Has a group of demonstrators they call the artisans, and the artisans did put some samples out. And I don't like to look at the artisans' work. I mean, I love to look at it, but not until after I have created things because I don't want to, I don't want to be influenced by anything that they did. But I used the die that I'm going to use today, and I was like, what the heck? I don't understand how to use this. So I did go look at the artisans' work, and not one of them used it. So it is a little bit, it's not just let's sit down and use it. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. And I do have a class. I was hoping to have it in an email today. It's probably going to go out tomorrow just because my weekend didn't quite go as planned. That happens sometimes. Hey, we're moms. Our lives sometimes are not always our own, right? But I'm going to use it, and I don't want to scare you. It just is, it's just a little bit different. And sometimes we like that because sometimes we're like, you roll it, you cut it, you punch it out, and you color it in. And this isn't like that. And the die, I'll show you. I'm going to share my frustrations with you, and then I fixed it because now I know how to use it. But let me show you a couple of the projects. Some of them aren't going to get videos. This one is one I've done. I will post it on my blog so you can see the card. It's not going to have a video. So I've just realized I'm running out of time. We have vacation coming up. I will also say, those of you that are in my Cut and Emboss class, I had the first video filmed, not posted or edited. And after I've used this die, I'm like, there's some more tips and tricks to using your machine that this die has reminded me. So I'm going to refilm it and use some of these dies just to show you some care and some plate things. So it's reminded me of some things that are some basic tips that I'm going to refilm because this die's just got lots of bits to it. So here's another one. I'm not going to film this because this was my girlfriend's. I do have it on a Facebook Live. So if you want to see when Tanya made that on my Facebook Live, you can. And then this one does have a tutorial up. And this one has a tutorial, and it's a window sheet card. I love those. I hadn't done one of those for a while. So let me show you. And it's funny because I tell you guys to do things, right? I'm always like, when I get my stamp sets and my new dies, I tell you this all the time, and 90% of the time, it's what I do. I take all of my dies, and I should have done it with this one. I take all of my dies, I put them on some scrap paper, and I roll them through my die cutting machines. Because then you see, do they cut all the way out? Do they cut an outline? Because more and more our dies do funny things. Well, I got this one. I overnighted it. Tanya came over. We did the Facebook Live. So we ripped open the box and we just started creating so we could get some stuff done. And I showed you on the other video, I did it all on brushed metallic cardstock, and I realized I don't know what these dies do. So I wasted a ton of brushed metallic because I didn't know what this one did. So I have all these pieces now of brushed metallic that we're going to use this little scrap here because I wasted it all because I didn't know what they did. Now I fully understand what this die does, and I can use this die. I've got this one down. But there is a learning curve on this little curvy thing. So you would think after all that, And then I did the little window sheet card, and I'm like, I got this. I now understand this set. So my final die that I hadn't used was this beautiful ivy. It's so pretty. And I thought, well, I'm going to run this through and it's going to give me a lovely strip of ivy. So let me show you, because then I had to FaceTime Tanya. We were both in our jammies, but that's okay, because you know that's what friends are for. So this is a retired piece of cardstock, which is what I tell you to do, right? Get all your dies out first off. But again, super busy weekend. We have vacation coming up, so I'm trying to get way ahead on filming. I'm going to get I don't like to use these used up, which is one of the, we go into plates, and now we're going to go more into plates because I have some more tips. So I rolled it through. I think I'm going to get this beautiful strip of ivy. And then I pull it up and I take it out to see my beautiful strip of ivy. And it doesn't give you a beautiful strip of ivy. It gives you a whole lot of leaves that just fell out all over your plate that are beautifully embossed. And then your beautiful strip of ivy is still stuck on your foil. So the funny thing is I have all of these strips of brushed metallic that I thought, well, I'm going to use one of my strips of brushed metallic and redeem them. So I had totally then wasted a strip of brushed metallic, because I'm like, well, now I don't know what to do with this. I do have some ideas, because, you know, I've done the use it as a stencil. But I wanted to use the die, and obviously that was not what it was intended for. So this can now go into the trash. It's retired cardstock anyways. It's beautiful. It's the peacock and it's beautiful, but you know. And so then that was when I called her, and I'm like, in my video, if you saw the first one, I showed you this teensy tiny star, and I said it was going to be the one, it's from the Christmas set, that I'm afraid I'm going to lose. So I haven't taken it off the block yet, and I keep putting it in a super safe space. I have a little safe space up on my camera because I'm afraid I'm going to lose this teensy tiny little star, because it's teensy tiny. So let's get some perspective now. Here's a stamp that I'm afraid I'm going to lose. Here's one of the dies of the leaves that punch out. So here's a little ivy. I'm not quite sure. I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with a die that's so teensy tiny that it's tinier than the star. I'm afraid I'm going to lose. Now, if that doesn't give you some perspective, because you haven't seen the stamp in real life, here is our mini dimensionals. And you know, those are tiny. Those are designed to pop up your tiniest of tiny, right? So here, this one right here is a mini dimensional. You would have to cut the mini dimensional into fourths to get that popped up. So she's like, just don't use it. Just use it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to figure this out. So let me show you what we've got. I did do a card because I had rolled through that brushed metallic, and I'm like, I'm not going to throw this in the trash. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks, and we're going to make a beautiful card. So watch this, and then when you get your stuff, come back and watch it again, or take my class, because by then I will have figured out even a little bit more. I should save this piece of paper because it's a good one for my class. But one of the tips and tricks, I'll show you the colors we're going to go with. We're going to go with jade. I'm on a jade kick right now. I think it's because it's fall, and you know, we're in that, it's cold, but all the trees haven't changed color phase. So I'm just freezing, and it still looks like summer outside. So let's go with some jade. Then I have black, and then vanilla. This is a scrap of, and it's a scrap, if you saw my window card, when I didn't cut it correctly, because it's still a learning curve. So it was going to be the window card, and I did it wrong, because you have to learn how these work. And so I cut the wrong way. So obviously this was not going to be a good opening for a window card. So I had all this scrap. This is a scrap from learning curve. And then this is a piece now that I have cut to be the way that I want it. So this is going to be the basis of our card. And this is a new piece of brushed metallic. So here's a couple of tips with this. Okay, so now we're going to cut the brushed metallic. I find it's easier to get your curvy first. So take this. If you've watched my other videos, you know that one side has a cut and one side has the dots. We don't want the dots. So you need to have your curvy, excuse me, be the side that's going down. And this way you'll be able to line up here. So put these two in together. So we just line up just like that. And that way your dots are going above, because I don't want dots. I don't want the distraction of the dots with it. And this is cut 5.5. We don't need it 5.5, but it's going to allow me to, if one side has half leaves and the other side has whole leaves, I'll be able to cut them off. And I'll just trim it to how I want it. Just roll it once through, because otherwise you're going to get little divots into your design. And we don't want divots in our design. So see, now I have this, and it's a piece then that I can use later. But see, that's one of the tips on my thing. There was a leaf left from another project on there. I should have checked to make sure they were all squished off. Now for this, you can see all of my leaves are going to fall out. Here, so just knock them out. They come out really easy. They come out a little easier if you don't run them through both things at a time, but I just like pressing it through once to make sure that I keep this part as clean as possible from getting any pieces in it. Now some of these teensy tiny little leaves, oh, my other one, 2 stayed in. Just 1 stayed in on that, but that's fine. If it stays in, just leave it. And then I have an embellishment container of all of the leaves that I've kept from the times that I've tried it. I'm going to put the ones in here that go back on this project, and then the ones I don't use, I will just stick back in. And this is part of what I'm talking about in my cut and emboss class, are all these little dots and using plates. We haven't had a die that has done this for a while. We do have them. I just haven't used them for a minute. So I was like, I forgot all about these tips and tricks. I'll wipe that off. I still have flannel pajama bottoms on. Okay, now, so we've got this part. So now, to get leaves that we can use, I'm going to take the shimmer white cardstock. That's scrap. I'm going to... You can see that this is super long. So you can see it doesn't go, it takes more than a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. You have to go long ways. So what I did, you know, it's scrap paper, and this is shimmer white. I think I said that. So I just hand cut kind of around it, because I'm going to color and I'm going to use the foam adhesive sheets. And so for neither one do I want to spend more time coloring or use more adhesive sheets than I need to. So this is just going to show me the exact size that it needs to be. Okay, now I want it to look like ivy, and this is going to be the front size. But you know, when our blends bleed, they're really pretty on the back. So I'm going to flip this over and color on the back, and then when I cut on the front, it'll be pretty. So I've got both my jades, and then I've got my light mint macaron. So I'm going to do just brush tip. And you're not really sure where any of the leaves are. So you're just going to kind of put that on there. And then do the same with the light jade. And just kind of swirl it around. And some of it can have a little bit of the shimmer white showing through too. And then I'm going to use my light mint macaron to be a blend. Kind of like a color lifter. Just kind of smudge this around, and you can see it lifts out a lot of the color because it's a lighter color, and that's what the blends are designed to do. And remember, we're going to use the front side, so now I'm going to flip it over and see what my front looks like. So see, it's got that kind of splotchy effect. It does remind me of my Curl dishes from when we were married. So now if you want anything, I'm going to add just a little bit of this on this side. If you saw my the giant sunflower tutorial that I did, a lot of times I color on both sides of my cardstock with a blend, because it bleeds through. In fact, on the window sheet card that I just did, I like both sides of it. So now I've got this. Now you need a piece of our foam adhesive. Again, it comes in smaller sizes, and this is a giant die, but that's okay because you can use most anything else that you use the foam adhesive sheets on is going to be smaller. than this. So if you sign up for my kit class, y'all are going to get a good deal on the foam adhesive sheet that you're going to need to do this, because you can see it's going to take a catty corner. So what I did, again, I don't get the smallest piece that you can on here. And it doesn't need to be any bigger because it can go under. You could draw on it if you want, but it just needs to get those leaves under it. Let's go this way with it. And don't think this is hard. If you get the set and you want to recreate this card, just follow along with my video and stop and pause it, because it's really pretty. Up close, the card's stunning. And you're going to be shocked how easy these leaves become once you use this. So now, see, you've got this. Just pull the top sheet off. If you haven't used the foam adhesive sheets yet, you're missing out, because it takes your cards to a whole new level on the cards that you put it on. Just stick this on here. So now it's like one giant dimensional. Then we do need a couple of these. But here's another tip for you. You can't push this through at the same time as another die because of the height difference. So we'll do this, and then we'll do the rest of our, yeah, it's one of those ones where there's not really a good order to do things, because we need this, but then we also need a couple of other, I need to stamp before I can do the embossing folder. So just lay that on there. Pop this on here. You want to make sure it doesn't slide off, because you know where that foam is. You can kind of see it. And this one I am going to go back and forth. I don't do it often on this new machine because it doesn't really need it. But this does need to cut through. It's just a giant sheet of dimensional. So it does need to cut through both of that. So pop this out. One of them has stuck to my, not stuck, but it's laying there. So take this out. So now we've got those all ready to use, and I trust me, you're going to be shocked when you see how easy those are. So now we need 2 of these little leaves. And another one. So I'm going to get one from my messed up copper. It's the same leaf. It just keeps sticking to me. And this leaf comes in the dies as well. So one of those. And they are cut and embossed. Thus the name of our machine. And then this is going to be our backing sheet of black. So let's not waste that. Let's get a black one out of there. It's just going to be covered up. So now we have one of those. Now we're going to stamp, but we want our words to line up. So now we need to figure out where we want all of this to go. So I'm going to take this, and now you can see how sometimes you might lose a leaf. Like here, I don't really want that half leaf. So I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to shove that over so the half leaf gets cut off so it can go all the way to this, because these 2 leaves are whole. So you don't want to glue it yet. And I'm going to use the Hooray for You. So here is the natural bend of the stamp. So depending on where this fell on your card, it might go just perfect, or you might need to bend it a little. But it's photopolymer, so we can. So I'm going to lay it on here. Make sure it's clean. So just lay it on your card. And because it's photopolymer, you can bend it just enough so it's just perfect for the bend of where you're going to mount your stuff. And then just grab that. Okay, now we're going to take this. I don't like just the plain because the card's got a lot going on. I didn't want this to be plain. So just one quick step. We're going to put it through the embossing folder that's in Good Taste. Sweet. This just takes a second. I feel like I haven't been using embossing folders very much recently. And it just takes the gray plate, one pass through. And for the amount of effort that an embossing plate takes, it's definitely worth it. So just roll that through. Now we're done with the cut and emboss machine. So if you, I have the free class at any point. If you're on my demonstrator team, you get to take all of my classes for free. But at any point, if you buy your machine from me, then you'll get that series of 4 classes. So the first one is going to go up. See, I thought I threw out all those little peacock ones. They do make a little bit of a mess. So we're going to stick this on. Make sure that's the right size before you get going with everything. And then we're going to put this on here. Now, I found it's easier because of all these holes to put your adhesive on here. And just kind of go edge to edge. And you know it's going to go up there. Just kind of roll it around. And then I want these whole leaves to be here because that's how we did our words. And you know the Stampin' Seal, not the plus, but the seal is repositionable for a couple minutes. So it's a good one to use for this in case you don't get your bend right. And then just flip it over and take your scissors and trim this part off. Okay, now let's just mount all this together. I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. And I didn't get very much of a black border. I just felt it like it needed a little bit of contrast behind it. And it pulled in the black. And then this black piece here was a total afterthought. Now we're going to start with these. And what I did, of course, a couple of mine fell out. They didn't do that on my first card. But you don't need all of them because some of them stay. And I think it's the little one that kind of give you fits. So match it up. So this is how it goes. So we'll just start here with this one. This is one we didn't use because that's the one that got cut off of our other card. So when you pull these out, I'm going to try to do it so you can see, but you know, they're tiny. But you can see this backing stayed, like the dimensional backing stayed. So all that's popping out is a leaf with adhesive on it. So it's literally like a puzzle with a dimensional. So just pull them out. I'm trying to do it so you can see, which it is easier when you're not doing it for a camera. And out of the whole strip, I maybe have 1 or 2 where the backing comes as well. And again, it tends to be the smaller ones. So look how easy that is. You just pull those off. And because the dimensional is cut to the right size, you just put those puppies right back in here. Now here's one of the ones that's over here. So we have the choice. We can either get this, or because we've got that adhesive under there, I can go back and find the one that's in the gold one. I don't want to fast forward this part of the video because I want you to see that it doesn't take long at all. Because I know I kind of felt like when I first rolled that die through that I was never going to use it. I was like, well, I don't know who came up with this, but it should have come with instructions. But especially up close, this card is stunning. And wait till we add the little faux bow and the little embellishments. But see, this is super fast. So we've got those, and then these 2 little ones, this is one of them. The other one's the one that was stuck to my finger. So let's put this one here. I don't know if the other one. So now you're going to take these, we'll just add one of these back. So we know it's a tiny one. This one will work. And they don't have to be perfect. But the adhesive's already stuck there from the card. That's why I made sure that I went right there. Whoops. This is a great time to use your little mushy tip. Just stick that back in there. Now I'm going to take these and I'm going to just take some fun embellishment stuff. So I have the Just Jade ribbon. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to add some adhesive right here. And kind of work there. And just get a little bit to make some faux bow. So you just want to do like that. And we're going to cover that part up, so don't worry if it looks awful. Then let's add in the copper one. And any of the scrap metallics, they would all be pretty. Any of the colors, any little pieces that you've kept. If you still have the peacock, it would be pretty. Let's add a little bit more here. Get the black there. And then I'm going to take another little piece, and this one's going to be tiny. And for this, you want your glue dots. Where did I put mine? I know they're laying here in the midst of all of this stuff. Right here in front of me. So just put a glue dot on the end. And then do the same thing, but you're doing a miniature one this time. Once you have your little shape of bow, then put some glue dots here. And just stick that there. And now you're just going to take your seal and take just a few of these. You're not going to use all of them, just a couple. And add some, especially if you've got any divots on here, you can add those there. But otherwise, it's just to add a little bit more of the gold and kind of fill in your ivy. And if you just drag them on the back of here, it gets plenty of adhesive. Add a couple up in here. That's why I like to have that leaf be a little bit of a different color. Again, trying to leave it so you can see it. Let's move all this stuff out of the way. See, here's a little tiny one right there. I didn't want any to go above the curve. I like keeping the curve nice and clean. And this is why I have so many of these left, because you don't really want a ton of these on here. I think we're good like that. Then let's take our jade. And this really sets the whole thing off. I keep thinking I'm going to find the little, nope. The little dimensional one. Put this on here. And then for the final touch, you're just going to add some of the champagne rhinestones. And I did 5 because you know you don't want an even number. So 3 wasn't quite enough. And these just look beautiful with the this color of cardstock, this brushed metallic. So I did 2 down at the bottom of the larger size, and then I did 3 of the smaller ones at the top. And just kind of random. It just gives a nice little touch of elegance. Look how pretty that is. So I'm going to try to get it up close enough that you can kind of see the shimmer and the dimension. I'll take a close-up picture on my website so you can see the dimension, because I know it's really hard to tell. But I mean, you do want to make this card. Trust me, it's unlike anything you've ever made before. And I've been stamping for almost 30 years. And I've never done anything like it. Here's the other one. It has a, I think I did use the same color of cardstock. Oh, one last touch. I forgot this one. And this just, a kind of, we're going to do just a hit of the brush, the blend here. So take your dark jade and you're just going to do like, until you just get some right here. There you go. Just kind of pulls in that little bit of, oh, those little peacock things are going to be everywhere. So see, it just kind of pulls that in right there. You don't want it everywhere. So this one's higher. It's all kind of just dependent on where you put that curvy. I'm thinking, you know, somebody with a mathematical brain. Maybe I'll get my husband to help me. If I do, I will let you know, because if that can be part of the class where I can kind of figure out at what point you would like mark it, maybe. If I might be able to do a sheet of this that you could put underneath your plate, so you would know like where to put this to have it a certain part of your card. Because, you know, right now I'm winging it because it's a learning curve. But this, I mean, this, the way those leaves look so realistic, super, super pretty. And it's always fun to do something a little new. It's a little taxing, but it's good for us, right? Keeps us young, keeps our brains working. So there you go. I will have information on my class coming up. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Tomorrow you will want to catch us. We're doing a ton of designer series paper projects tomorrow, me and my girlfriends. So a couple of them may be live on our Facebook page that we have together. So that's tomorrow. And today I'm trying to get a bunch of videos filmed so I have some stuff that I can pre-post while we're on vacation. So I'm not sure if an email is in my future, but I mean, the cost won't start until November. So I decided it doesn't really have to go up until November, but I do want you to know that it's going to be offered, and the best deal will be if you buy the kit from me. So I want you to have that on your little list of things you'll want to do towards the end of the month. So everybody have a great day.